Let's go ahead and bring in White House top economic advisor Peter Navarro. Mr. Navarro, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
My pleasure, Joe.
Yes, likewise, a lot to talk about here. Let's go ahead and start with the impact on the American consumer. Ford reported a net loss last week, and projected tariffs will cost Ford, they say, $2 billion this year alone. So beyond Ford, many are worried that eventually those costs are going to be passed down to everyday Americans. What do you tell them?
I tell him, Gio, that if you and I had this conversation in the first term of the Trump administration in 2018, you would have asked me the same question. And you would have had people's heads on fire saying there would be inflation. There was no inflation. So that's not going to be a problem this time around. What will happen is we'll have lots of investment, lots of jobs. We'll have real wages going up, and that's all good for America. But what's really important to understand about the tariffs is why we do them. We do them because the rest of the world, Joe, they cheat us. They cheat us, and this is total fact. They cheat us by having tariffs that are higher than ours. That's not fair. They cheat us by having non-tariff barriers, ways to keep our products out of their markets. That's not fair. So what President Trump is doing is leveling the playing field on behalf of American workers, on behalf of American businesses. The tariffs will help pay for the tax cuts in the big, beautiful bill. The tariffs will help debt reduction. And the tariffs have already brought in trillions and trillions of dollars of pledges for investment.
Mr. Navarro, I know that one of the things you wanted to talk about here is, of course, the Russia-Ukraine war. So let's turn to that real quickly while we have you, because Special Envoy Steve Witkoff met with Russian President Vladimir Putin today. Secondary sanctions may be slapped on Russia as soon as Friday. So first, what does that mean, and what would that look like?
Well, let's have that conversation, Gio, within the context of India, which the president signed tariffs of 50% today on. This action is very different from the actions the president has been taking to reduce our trade deficit and have fairer trade. India basically is buying Russia oil. Now, think about this. Here we are in America trading with India. They have much higher tariffs. They don't buy our stuff. So they sell us a lot more stuff and get our American dollars at the expense of consumers here, okay? Then India takes those dollars and they buy Russian oil, and then Russia uses the American dollars which originated in the U.S., went to India, went to Russia, and then makes bombs to kill Ukrainians. And then the United States has to send more weapons at the expense of taxpayers to pay for those weapons to defend against Russian armaments paid for by American dollars laundered through India based on unfair trade. Okay? Think about that. And so what the president did is saying that math doesn't work. That math doesn't work. So that's got to stop. Now, the way the president is approaching countries like India and China, who are basically aiding and abetting the Russian war machine through things like buying oil or giving them armaments, is through what you call, Gio, secondary sanctions and tariffs. So the idea here would be if India is going to buy oil from Russia, or if China is going to send arms to Russia, then the companies that are doing that will be tariffed or sanctioned or both.
Okay, let's go ahead and talk, because this is something that a lot of people have been talking about this past week here, the firing of that labor official after those revised and lower job numbers came out. Yes. I want to read to you, Mr. Navarro, what a Republican senator has said. Senator Cynthia Lummis, and you know this, a big supporter of the president, said, quote, "If the president is firing the statistician because he doesn't like the numbers, but they are accurate, then that's a problem." Does that give you any pause to hear something like that from her?
Well, I'd love to sit down with a senator and go over the argument why the firing was not only correct, but overdue. It's a myth that the Bureau of Labor Statistics and other elements of the government don't manipulate data. We have cases where that has happened repeatedly. And let me give you a couple of things. One is 2011, there's the famous quick pay scandal where the Obama Treasury Department moved some numbers from the fourth quarter into the third quarter to boost their numbers and then help them with their 2012 reelection effort. That was well documented by the New York Federal Reserve. That's number one. There was another case in the 2012 election where the BLS, which gets its jobs data not just from calling people on the phone, but also by going out into the field and doing surveys. One of their agents was caught red-handed manipulating data that skewed the data in favor of Obama and got the unemployment rate, helped get the unemployment rate below 8%, which was a big deal at the time politically. And then, of course, during the 2024 election, we had a series of Bureau of Labor Statistics reports, wildly strong reports on jobs that boosted Biden and then Harris in their campaign for election. And after the election, we discovered that almost 1 million of those jobs were phantom jobs, Gio. And you have to wonder, is that incompetence? Or is that manipulation? And then fast forward to this latest thing. It's like you could theorize here. Follow me here. Let's suppose you had somebody at the Bureau of Labor Statistics who really wanted to harm the Trump administration. The Achilles heel now of our strong economy program is the fact that Jay Powell at the Fed has not lowered interest rates. So somebody at the Bureau of Labor Statistics can think, well, let's keep churning out those strong jobs reports, make sure Powell doesn't lower interest rates, and then at some point we drop the hammer down, which would be what they just did, take all those jobs away, and then the Democrats get to blame everything on the tariffs. So I don't know if it's incompetence, I don't know if it's political manipulation, but there's a strong case that our agencies have been politicized for all the wrong reasons.
All right. Well, top White House economic advisor Peter Navarro, we appreciate your time here on ABC News Live. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Gio. Pleasure to be with you.
Bye.